This show is brought to you in partnership with CEDA.
Primetime Life.
Hello and good day. Welcome to Primetime Life. On today's show, we've got the pleasure of joining CEDA and Stanbic Bank Botswana as they sign a Memorandum of Agreement to sort out their clients. Let's go find out what that memorandum is all about and what that partnership entails.
Primetime Life. Primetime Life.
In a bid to ensure that their clients who often do cross-border transactions are protected from uncertain events such as non-delivery of goods, poor quality of goods ordered from suppliers outside the country, the Citizen Entrepreneurial Development Agency, or CEDA, recently signed a Memorandum of Understanding with Stanbic Bank Botswana. The signing of this MOU symbolizes the great strides that CEDA is taking in ensuring that new and existing businesses are able to acquire assets from outside the country without having to worry about the whole process and risks associated with the cross. The Citizen Entrepreneurial Development Agency, or CEDA, together with Stanbic Bank Botswana, signed a Memorandum of Understanding that will enable clients to seamlessly do cross-border transactions. Let us join the organization's leaders to find out more about the MOU.
Primetime Life.
Ladies and gentlemen, the coming together of these great institutions as mediated by this MOU we're about to operationalize is not only symbolic but significant, and without doubt an instrumental game changer in catalyzing the growth and development of the SMME sector and indeed business in general. It is symbolic in that it exemplifies the real and results-oriented terms, the critical importance of pooling institutional capacity and capital informed by comparative advantages and complementarities of both entities to support the achievement of national priorities and development goals of our country. Equally pertinent is that the significance of this partnership comes at a time when our country is in the throes of the debilitating impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. It thus represents a direct response to stabilizing and insulating the business sector, the SMME sector, in line with the economic recovery and transformation plan of 2020-21 to 2022-23, as recently pronounced as our response to the pandemic or as our national response. Importantly, and perhaps in more specific terms, the partnership is a tailored and an end-to-end solution in unlocking the constricted global supply and value chains that remain a critical ingredient to the growth of our businesses.
On a daily basis, CEDA finance their valued clients across various sectors to purchase movable assets such as machinery and equipment from suppliers outside the country, especially in countries like China, India, and South Africa. These cross-border transactions have not been a pleasant experience both for CEDA and its clients, as in most cases, projects are often left behind and stagnant as a result of non-delivery, unspecified quantities, poor quality of goods ordered from outside the country.
It is therefore critical that assets purchased are delivered in the right specification, quality, quantity, and on time and on budget to minimize CEDA's exposure in the case of default, and also to protect the clients and to some extent, to a larger extent, guarantee that that business will take off. It will start. Stanbic Botswana, a member of the Standard Bank Group, has an all-encompassing solution for Africa-China cross-border trade that enables the matching of buyers from Africa with suppliers or manufacturers in China. The signing of this agreement further opens up opportunities for both entities to co-fund, where possible, conduct joint seminars for SMMEs focusing on import-export development together with BITC, and SPEDU and CEDA under the Ministry of Investment, Trade and Industry. Participate at each other's promotional events throughout the financial year. Co-host media briefs on the bank's and CEDA's collaborative efforts through radios, talk shows and/or road shows, and share strategic information from both ends to enable appropriate solutions. What I'm simply saying is that this is just the beginning, Sam, of the good times that we are envisaging forward.
Amongst other factors that solidifies and gives the CEDA Stanbic Bank partnership a boost in terms of effectiveness is the Africa-China agent proposition that Stanbic Bank has recently launched. The aim of the ACAP is to assist African importers source and validate quality goods safely and efficiently from the most competitive suppliers in China. Throughout this initiative, CEDA clients will be assisted throughout their trading journey with supplier sourcing, traveling logistics, transit insurance, to mention but a few.
There are two specific problems I could hear. One, you want to problem statement that you really want to support your client with. One is the capacity to do cross-border transactions and do it well and not be defrauded, and make sure that the quality, the budget, the cost, everything is within. And that capacity, you need a partner to support you with. And I think that's number one. Number two is growing local entrepreneurship capacity, that the people you fund, whether from startup or whatever, acceleration, growth, and so forth, they need capacity to make sure that the money you've given them would work for both nation and for themselves. And I think on those two fronts, we are fairly aligned. And I think as I reflect on this MOU, it's very important for us. So on the cross-border piece, I just want to assure you, Retam, and I know we have this conversation several times, that specifically China, you mentioned India and South Africa, and I think China as a growing global powerhouse for production is a place that we can bring a lot of value, in the sense that the biggest bank in the world, ICBC, is a partner and a shareholder in the Standard Bank Group. They are based in China. We have offices in China. We've developed a product called the ACAP, the Africa-China Agent Proposition. And what essentially does is exactly that you can be here without ever traveling to China. We could give you agents that can take your order and give you exactly what you want, and they can give you better value. So I think it's a great proposition that we bring to the party.
The signing of the MOU between CEDA and Stanbic Bank Botswana will go a long way in helping CEDA's clients to do cross-border transactions seamlessly. Furthermore, it will protect them from being defrauded by international scammers.
COVID-19 has created lots of problems across the world. It's people have unfortunately succumbed to the disease, and a lot of things have happened. However, what it does create is an opportunity, which is very prevalent in Botswana, for us to be able to diversify this economy the way in which we've always wanted to in the past. When you're comfortable on a daily basis, the likelihood is you'll do a few things. But when you're under pressure and when the chips are down like they currently are in COVID-19 pandemic, you actually then look forward to say, what can I do that's extra? Such that after COVID, we find ourselves in a much better position. So I'll commit to yourself, Thabo, and your leadership team that as we start this MOU, it won't only start at trade as we currently have it, but it will extend far beyond that in terms of a partnership of how we create jobs for Botswana, how we create entrepreneurship for Botswana, and more importantly, how we make Botswana great and ensure that going forward, we become an economy that can survive within our borders, as opposed to having to consistently import things that we can make through the talent, especially of our youth.
Primetime Life. Primetime Life.
The rising global demand for coal has created a major opportunity for Botswana to diversify its economy. With a vast coal reserve estimated in excess of 200 billion tons, coal, just like other promising natural resources, is expected to form the basis for diversification within the mining sector. Primetime Life joined Botswana Railways to witness the first coal consignment by rail to South Africa. For the longest time, we have been exporting coal and exporting coal by road. Today, we get to bear witness to the launch of the first coal export by rail, thanks to the good people at Botswana Railways in partnership with Minergy.
Primetime Life.
This first consignment by rail South Africa was mined at Minergy's Masama coal mine, Botswana's first privately owned coal mine. The 2,650-ton coal shipment was initially transported 60 kilometers by road from the mine in Mamabula to the Tsele Hills rail siding in Gauteng. The efficiency of rail will give them a competitive edge to reach South Africa same day and within short hours.
The link that will join Botswana to the Richards Bay coal terminal link, and that Botswana will be able to export coal through Richards Bay to India, China and the likes. People say that's impossible. Now it is, because the logistics doesn't make economic sense. That rail line will make it sense. So I, representing Minergy and industry here, we're supporting it significantly. I know we're supporting Botrail in that, Minister of Transport. We support your view on that as well. It's a project that needs to be developed. Botswana will be significantly showcased as a coal producer with that in place. So we all hope and pray that with all the funding and all the planning that's going on behind the scenes, that will be a project that will materialize quite quickly. And lastly, there's a further opportunity for us to export coal to, and you're not going to believe this, Eskom.
This line, Yaruna, is the first heavy haul line in the country. 26 tons per axle, I think. Now, to build a line coming by road from here to here is about 59 kilometers. When you build a line from here to the mine, it will be just over 40 kilometers. That is not far different from Mamabula to Lephalale. If they can build a line from here to the mine, which is their ambition, which I think they will achieve, surely we can do Mamabula Lephalale, because that line will actually be a lot more than the one to Media. I can go on and on and on, because what we are witnessing today, I can assume it's like a father waiting for your first son to be born. I can't even talk about a daughter, because, a daughter, but a son to be born, all you know is that for your son to be born, your DNA will continue. So when you're waiting for your son to be born, knowing that your DNA will continue, this is what we're witnessing here. That's what I've been waiting for, to see that what we're witnessing here will continue, to make this country achieve what we want to do.
Absa Botswana was part of this exciting journey. The bank funded the connection rail from Tsele Hill to the main railway line.
We are very optimistic at Absa that Botswana will emerge as a major transportation hub or gateway on the regional corridor that will help support overall trade growth in Southern Africa in the medium to long term. We do note that the country is posed in a land that will be linking many of the countries in our region, particularly once the African Continental Free Trade Agreement enters this operation. We believe that the basics that we are laying today will form a key foundation to that. While Botswana lacks direct access to sea, it is relatively central or placed in a central geographic location that makes it the best connected countries regionally for overland supply chains. And to that, it links Southern African countries to each other, as well as Central Africa and East Africa. We are therefore excited and look forward to continuing to support Botswana Railways and indeed the government of Botswana in the economic diversification drive.
As a landlocked country, Botswana continues to acknowledge infrastructure and, by extension, railway infrastructure as a key enabler of economic development, a catalyst for business and a facilitator of employment creation. It is in this regard that prioritizing investment in infrastructure that supports and stimulates Botswana's key industries, such as coal mining, remains imperative.
Rail transport is critical and absolutely imperative to supporting economic development. And unless it is fully developed, Botswana may not realize its full potential in exploiting its abundant natural resource and wealth. The country has vast coal reserves, estimated in excess of 200 billion tons, and there is a need for robust rail infrastructure to support the evacuation of this coal to international markets, especially Asia, where there is evident demand. We need supporting rail infrastructure to deliver coal to ports. Therefore, given Botswana's strategic geographic location at the center of Southern Africa, adequate physical and financial infrastructure is critical for the growth and competitiveness of Botswana. Prioritizing investment in infrastructure that supports and stimulates Botswana's key industries, such as coal mining and agriculture, is essential in ensuring the country is able to sustain a diverse and growing economy that will generate attractive employment opportunities. May I highlight that inadequate infrastructure may be a threat to Botswana's growth potential, but at the same time, it also represents a great opportunity for the private sector investors to finance physical infrastructure assets as railways. And I take note of the remarks of the CEO of ABSA, brave, and we welcome you very much as a partner, a brave financial partner. There are significant opportunities for railway development in Botswana as a result of potential production of large volumes of goods such as bulk, minerals, and commodities that are natural markets for railways. Coal, petroleum products, copper, cement, salt, grain, soda ash, but to name a few.
I like that you're pointing out that we can now export coal out of Botswana via rail. Let's talk about the efficiency of using rail compared to the old way of doing things via road.
So yeah, I mean, I think, currently, as you would understand, in terms of COVID-19, there is significant restrictions on crossing the border, for example. We understand the protocols that are in place, but it slows down our deliveries across the border and trucks coming across. So there's significant delays into our customers. That's the first point. The second point is in terms of volume, as Stephen has mentioned, that this is a volume game. We've got 50 trucks here at about 53 tons per truck, and that is significant. That's 2,600 tons plus minus. That equates to more than 70 road trucks. Those trucks are not on the road. They're not destroying the road. This is all in one, arrives at the customer. They have the offloading facilities for that. So the efficiencies are just second to none. As I said, there's no delay for the customer to wait. These trains are pre-cleared. And also just the traffic through the border. You don't have to do 70 COVID tests on 70 drivers. You maybe do it on a driver here. Just much more efficient. It's the way to go.
Wow. And then perhaps now one would be interested. Today we are launching the first one. Let's look at now how many trains would now be leaving the mine with the coal on them. How many are you looking at having, say, in a month?
Okay, so currently this is the first of a 3-train order from our customer, which we're very grateful for. Okay. The plan is to have at least 1 train a week. So this 2,600 ton a week to a specific customer.
That's pretty significant. Wow.
Yeah, that's a starters. We are trying to double that up going forward. when the market recovers and the opportunities are there, there's additional markets that we've identified, and we can double or treble what you're seeing here at the moment.
And then now, when you talk of clientele and destinations, how far can now we get Botswana coal out there?
Well, the sky's the limit at the moment. It all boils down to economics. But anything across the border works very well, and we know that the South African cement industry is situated there. But the Cape Town market is not unassailable. It's in terms of distance, it's very similar to what you would incur coming from the Central Basin in South Africa. So we're on par with them, including the Waterberg guys, which is just across the border this side. So, Cape Town market, for starters, we would be very interested in the local South African market. Again, as I've noticed, or mentioned before, further exports into Richards Bay, for example, requires the Lepelale link to be built. Very important for Botswana as a country. So we won't play there until the coal price recovers. If it recovers and goes above $70, $75, you can even send coal that way.
The future for both Botswana Railways and Minergy depends on the market conditions. We are waiting for tenders and from main users being Eskom and other users in South Africa. So as long as the market is there, we're going to move the coal because the coal is there.
And then now perhaps let's talk about the partnership between yourselves, the Botswana Railways, and Minergy. What sort of partnership, how has it been, and where are we seeing it going?
Yes, we have a contract right now to move coal. I think currently it's going to go to maybe 300,000 tons, but the future, once the contract is awarded to Minergy, it's going to transform Botswana Railways. And unfortunately, there probably will be a constraint with moving the coal via Mafikeng, because this line has got only a capacity of 4.5 million tons per annum. And anything above that, given the other exports being salt and soda ash, we won't be able to do it through this line. So that's why we eagerly need another line out of Botswana, which is why we're pushing the Mamabula-Lephalale line.
Primetime Life.
And that is how we come to the end of tonight's show. Thank you so very much for joining us. Catch us again next week, same time, same place. I know we just finished celebrating independence, a very different sort of independence because we had to social distance. We had to be less in numbers, but I just hope you enjoyed your independence celebration. Other than that, continue to sanitize, social distance. Most importantly, be kind to one another. Say no to gender-based violence. Good night. This show was brought to you in partnership with CEDA.